Hey, everybody. In today's episode, I am going to cover the number one question that a lot of people ask me, which is if I could tell my future customers anything that would be helpful for them to guarantee their success, what would it be? So often I get this question, and so I'm going to address it today on the episode because I think it's something that hopefully will help serve you. So the question that or the sort of the focus that I would give people around this is to develop a business and marketing plan before you build any online program or product. So let me explain what I mean. So often when people come to me, so we do these strategy sessions, these VIP strategy sessions where people can come in and we look at not only what program they're trying to create, like how do you create it, what are the topics, how do you execute on creating the hybrid experience, right? The gamification, the videos, the workbooks, the all the things, like putting it in the platform and having a great foundation. If you rewind all of that, before you get there, it's really being strategic about what's the business that you're creating, why do you want to create it, how are you going to take it from zero to scaled, right? And what are your goals? What's the whole purpose of you doing this? Because if it's to make money, it's not sustainable. I'm just going to tell you that, right? Like you could make a lot of money building an online business, but there's going to have to be something behind it, right? It's not just creating an online program and throwing it out there and hoping that you get, sales from it, right? That's not a sustainable business. You're not looking at it as a business owner. You're looking at it as just creating a product that you're throwing out there, which is going to be a different topic. But incidentally, you cannot just go from like, I'm just going to throw something out there, put some money behind ads and hope it sells, right? That's not really how it works in reality. So if you have been told that from people, we need to talk because I'm going to help you actually get sort of grounded in reality of what it takes to get to build your online course business. But the biggest mistake that people make is not thinking about it as a business, not thinking about it as like foundationally, what are the key elements that go into creating a business. And it's less about sort of the mechanics of, well, you need to be able to take in money and you need to be able to, pay taxes and you need to be able to, have a business name. It's not all about that necessarily, although all of those things are really important. What foundationally it takes is what's your plan, right? What business are you creating? What are all the parts and pieces of that? And then thinking through, what are your goals? What's your vision? What are you trying to create? Why are you trying to create it? When you are in a position where you are in the muck of building a business, knowing why you're doing it is super, super important. So the very first thing that we do is like, okay, so what's your business strategy, right? Like what is the business plan that you have to build and scale this online program in whatever way, shape, or form you are doing it? Or, or it could be your whole business, right? Like what is the delivery method that you're using? Why are you using that delivery method? Who are you going to help? How are you going to help them? All the different things. So that to me is the biggest thing that's missing. In when people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to start coaching. I want to start building a program. I want to start a business online." Just remember that you're actually starting a business, so you have to go through the mechanics of creating a business plan. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be planned out. So you're thinking about the actual business that you're creating. Otherwise, you could easily go and get Kajabi or something else and put some topics in and call it a course, right? The mechanics of doing that aren't necessarily difficult. What's difficult is looking at it and saying, how do you monetize it, right? How do you get customers in? How do you help customers? How do you give them a transformation? And how do you grow your program? And so that's really what we focus on first, is making sure that you have that right foundation. Part of that is having a well-defined business plan. Again, it doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be difficult, just needs to have some structure to it. Then the second big thing that people do not have is a marketing plan. And marketing is not just a seat of your pants, get on social media and start talking kind of thing, right? Like, you actually have to plan for how you're going to market, how are you going to communicate with people, how are you going to reach people, who is it that's going to be the right people for your courses. Then all the tactics help support that. But if you don't have the plan, if you don't know what you're doing, in terms of attracting people, who you're attracting, and how you're doing it, then it's just noise. So often people come to me and it's either one or two things. One, they have no social media presence, they have no website, they have no brand where they're building their authority yet. And that is going to be a very large hurdle to selling your program at scale. And so that's, foundationally, you need to have a plan first and foremost. Then foundationally, you need to build that brand first, and then have the program or product behind it. But the other problem is people could have a brand and they're out on social media, like doing TikToks or just sort of blasting different topics. And so, but there's no focus to it, right? It's just sort of random. Or you probably have seen the people who, like, every day they're posting about a different topic and it's not anything related. Like, they're in a new business every day. Those are the people who do not have any kind of business plan or marketing plan ahead of time. And so they're just sort of like praying and spraying that something is going to hit. Like, maybe somebody's interested in this and then they sell that. Or maybe somebody's interested in that and they sell that. That is not a sustainable business that you can build, scale, and maybe even sell at some point, right? So if you are looking to create a real business that actually serves your life, that is scalable and is something that eventually is an asset that helps to serve you, then to me, those are the two things that most of the time people are missing when they come to me. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about that foundation. Like, what are the pieces? That's the VIP strategy day that I do, is like, okay, let's take a step back from the content itself and think about the bigger picture. And then we can hook everything back together. And it helps you, kind of take that pause, think about things strategically, and then run back into the tactics and execution. But when anyone ever asks me that question, that to me is the foundational pieces that are missing. And when people are marketing to you out in marketing land, they're selling you on the transformation. They're not selling you on the reality of, what needs to happen. And so that's why I think a lot of times people fall in this trap, is like, well, I can just become a coach. I can just become an online course seller. And what they're not showing you is the actual kind of business acumen that happens before, during, and then obviously after, as you're building your business. I remember a couple years ago, and those of you who know me as you're listening to this story will laugh because you remember it. I was at a large conference, it was at FHL a couple years ago, and it still like literally sits with me daily, is that there was a speaker that got on stage, and she's very successful influencer. She got on stage and she's just like, oh, it's just super easy to create a course. Like, I just created on my yacht. I just whipped up my iPhone and created my course and got it out there, and it was great. But it just triggered me, because I'm like, it's just not that simple. Like, you don't just like whip up your iPhone and create a course off the top of your head and then sell it for $1 million. It's not what happens. So that sort of the marketing lens of things gives you the sort of the cooking show result, right? Like I always call it the cooking show result, where that you were watching a cooking show and they put all the ingredients together, and then they're like, and then it takes an hour in the oven, but they have the finished version just right there. And so what you aren't seeing or aren't hearing about, because she's not telling you about it, is all of the parts and pieces that went up to the place where she could lift up her phone and do a course. Like, she didn't just like randomly one day, go up and start filming her program, right? She's got a huge audience. She's got an established business. She probably had been thinking about the framework for months, and just the act of recording it was the last step, but that's the step that she led with. Like, it's so easy. You could just do it. You just can do it on your iPhone. But there's all of this happening behind the scenes that's not being talked about. And so it was interesting now, kind of reflecting back. Like I said, I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe a little bit more. Reflecting back, but I was super fired up, because I was like, that is a disservice to the world to just say that it's that simple, and people try it and then they fail and then they think there's something wrong with them, right? Like, to me, that's a disservice to that person who's trying to build their own online powered empire, right? Because it's possible, but it's not that simple. And so those are the pieces that, in my mind, she wasn't sharing, right? She wasn't sharing that she already had probably, I don't even know how many people she has on her list, 1 million people on her list, right? She's already had 4 or 5 programs that have been super successful, and this was an additional one for her existing audience that she already had, right? She's very strategic and intentional about how she's built her business, but that isn't what she was sharing. And so to me, that's what I want to share with you today, is that if you can get these foundational pieces, marketing becomes really easy, because you've already defined who it is you're wanting to talk to. How do you want to talk to them? What do they need to hear in order to pull them towards you? And then you can already have a pre-existing list of people that you're out there trying to target. You have a brand and an online presence that exists. So when people are sort of looking at, like, who are you and what do you have to offer, it's already there, and you're not trying to climb up a giant mountain when you're trying to sell your program. Because I'll tell you, I have people who join me in the VIP and they have no business, they have no online presence, they have nothing built, and they want to go from a concept to a $1 million launch in 30 days. And they're being 100% serious. And it's just not reality. It's possible to get to $1 million in sales, but there's a lot of different sort of foundational pieces that need to be put in place first in order to help you run and make that happen as quickly as possible. So there you go. That is my course building tip for today. Again, kind of the number one thing that I wish people knew as they were starting out, that having these plans in place allow you to move really, really quickly and get to that place that you want to get to, right? But if you don't have these plans and you're just sort of praying and spraying and putting a bunch of stuff on TikTok and thinking that that's the thing that is going to bring all of these people to you in mass, it's not going to happen. I hate to be the one to break it to you. Maybe it would be better if I were to stand up on stage and say, all you got to do is just like record on your iPhone and you'll get $1 million. Maybe that's a sexier message. I don't know. But the reality is that we can help you get there quickly with the right pieces in place. And that's just sort of what I wish people were actually talking about online, is that people who succeed are the ones that have a plan and a strategy in place. It's not the ones that are just sort of, showing up every day on TikTok and expecting to see a business happen, because it's not going to happen. It may be you get sales, right? but you're not actually going to have a sustainable business that's going to serve you over time. So there you go. That is my tip for today. If you are looking for those components, we're going to be launching an online course powered business plan template on the site that you can go and grab. But I'm also more than happy to walk through your specific business, your specific idea, and really help you build that proper foundation as in the VIP session that we do. So give me a shout if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I will see you on the next episode.